Many thanks to DayZ Podcast, Pandemonium, Wolves of DayZ, Great Escape Server and TSO High Loot Server for making this video possible. With the release of DayZ 1.19 came the shiny new Humvee, which boasted some seriously impressive bullet stopping surfaces. However, these surfaces have since been stealth nerfed to bring the Humvee more in line with other vehicles in DayZ. So in this video we're going to be looking at how much the Humvee protects us now, and while we're at it, rank all vehicles based on their defenses too. If you've been watching my videos for a while now, you'll probably be aware of how much I enjoy talking about PPs. In fact, I've made a webpage dedicated to ranking the best PPs that I've sampled, with PP being short for penetration power, which is a stat that's on all weapons in DayZ. Basically, the higher the penetration power number is here, the further the weapon can penetrate its bullet into any surface in DayZ, as demonstrated with these three weapons, a hay bale and their PPs. This is important to know because whenever a bullet travels through a surface in DayZ, it gets slowed down, and a slower bullet means it will inflict less damage, which means the more a surface slows a bullet down, the more it protects our characters if we're shot through that surface, with these ranks working as a key to understanding the surface's strength. For example, the FNX pistol with a PP of just over 200 makes it through the Gunter's door, but the Vega with a PP of 170 cannot, so the strength of this surface is somewhere between these two numbers, so let's just say around 200 PP is required to penetrate this door. Now that everybody understands how their PP works, let's start with rank 6 with the worst vehicle in DayZ at protecting our characters, the M3S. Otherwise known as the V3S, this is the worst vehicle at protecting our characters because the cabin where our characters sit is easily shot through from almost all angles. The only angle you're really protected from is where this trader is on the rear because it cannot be penetrated with any weapon in DayZ, but the tarp on the top can be with 300 PP or higher. Opening the hood can convert the 50 PP glass into a 200 PP metal shield plus 50 for the glass, but at the cost of weakening the engine bay area here, which offers the worst protection of any engine bay in DayZ. Now while all engines in DayZ are bulletproof, this one is so small that shooting around it to hit the driver or the passenger is very possible with just a deagle at 400 PP. Even if the hood is down, a deagle can get through here, with all of the other panels on here having just 200, so the doors and the roof are only 200, giving the M3S a total score of 1,350. In 5th place is the Larder, otherwise known as the Ada, due to the hood, doors and the roof needing only 200 like the V3S to penetrate, with the rear of the Larder being one of the weakest in the game. This is mainly due to how the seats are very easy to shoot through in the Larder, requiring only 400 to penetrate 3 different surfaces to hit the driver from the rear. However, from the front, due to the size of the engine and the bulletproof radiator, it is not possible to hit the driver at all. Obviously shooting through the windows will hit the driver with these 50 PP windows, and again you can shield it with 200, but like the V3S from most angles, the Larder does make you very vulnerable, totaling a score of 2050. Next in 4th place is the Sarka, which has fantastic rear protection due to the engine being at the back and the hitbox covering the entire rear here. In addition, you can open the trunk to create a rear shield that is fairly strong at 400 PP, so you need a deagle or higher to get through this, but the same cannot be said about the hood because it opens to the side and the front is completely hollow too, so only 400 is required to hit the driver, making it as weak as a V3S from the front, giving it a total score of 2,350. Only slightly better than the Sarka, in the top 3 position sits the Olga, otherwise known as the Sedan. From the rear, the Sedan is extremely bullet resistant due to the seats being so strong in this vehicle, but do bear in mind this vehicle has no headrest to protect your head, and the trunk and hood shields are easily penetrated with just 200, while the doors offer a better than average protection of 300. The hood also has a gap when using it as a shield, as you can see here, and another gap can be found in the engine bay directly in front of the driver, so this gimps the protection of the Sedan to 500, nonetheless scoring a decent 2,550. If the Gunter wasn't good enough already, it's only become one of the most bulletproof vehicles in DayZ 2, and what makes it stand out among the other vehicles is that it cannot be penetrated from the front or the rear through the vehicle parts, and the steering column here provides additional protection too. I'm not sure how it does this, but it requires 700 penetration power to penetrate through the steering wheel. Combining this with a hood shield of 300 makes the driver incredibly difficult to kill from the front, and that's not considering the ridiculous speeds that this vehicle could drive or any armour that the driver might be wearing too, making this vehicle near impossible to stop with the right combination, scoring a big total of 2,850. Coming in first then is obviously the Humvee, but it's not a great deal better than the Gunter from the front, allowing 700 to pass through the engine bay to our characters due to a weaker engine hitbox, but has a slightly stronger hood shield at 400, with these gaps allowing you to see through them in first person, but it doesn't reduce the protection. The doors on the roof are also 400, so quite strong, but due to how the trunk is angled like this, no bullet in DayZ can pass through the rear of the Humvee unless you have the correct angle to go through it, with high deflection rounds simply bouncing straight off this angle. This makes the Humvee the best vehicle to go to prison with because you cannot be penetrated in the rear with the Humvee, with this being amplified by the current bug with the rear right door of the Humvee. This window is more bulletproof than the metal surrounding it, so you'll need an AKM or better to shoot through this to hit the person in the seat here, at least until this is fixed. On experimental 1.19, this was the case with all of the windows. You needed an AKM to get through them. They require 500 pp to penetrate. However, when released to stable, the Humvee was nerfed by 90% on these windows, which is now 50 instead. Like all other vehicles in DayZ, 50 penetration power is required to get through them. Now, it would seem the devs want to make the Humvee windows similar to other vehicles in DayZ, so this rear right window being this strong, like I said, will probably get fixed, so I won't include it in the totals. I believe they did this because even when the window breaks, bullets will still get slowed down as demonstrated here. The hitbox doesn't disappear, only the model of the hitbox disappears. If the Humvee windows did remain so strong, I believe players would be very confused why a seemingly broken window is protecting a player inside, as shown here from the test I did during experimental. To conclude this video then, looking at all of the totals for each of the vehicles, do you believe they should be balanced like this? Should a vehicle here be buffed or should a vehicle here be nerfed? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.